Okay, here we go.
So
Here we
we've
go.
recently been talking a lot about payment processors and this Australian feminist organization, Collective Shout, going after Steam, trying to enact policies that censor certain material on the platform. And now Japan is seeing what's going on, and they're fighting back against these payment processors. There is an update from just today about that, breaking news, if you will.
Nice.
But what we have here on screen is actually not breaking news. This is a post, a tweet from the legendary politician and legendary mangaka Ken Akamatsu, who you may recall last year, basically 13 months ago, was calling out this exact same thing. We'll read this and then get to the new stuff. He said, "We've received many questions regarding Manga Library Z being asked by an international credit card company to stop distributing works that contain certain words. There have been many notices to ebook stores in the past, but this time I feel that it is the largest one yet. Regarding the policies of these private companies, credit cards, politicians should avoid casually saying on the internet that there's a possibility that it may violate certain laws as it puts pressure on the private sector. However, I think that in the future, this will become a problem for the general regulation of expression in Japanese culture." And wow, has that aged accurately. And he says, so some kind of response will be necessary. This is because, in fact, this time unprecedented strong conditions and strong penalties have been confirmed. And if these are left unchecked, excuse me, I lost my spot. Okay, there we go. If these are left unchecked, it is expected that they will gradually spread to other expressions.
Well, yes, that's the goal. That's the entire goal. There's nothing else. They just want to censor people because they are owned by the people who want that.
If that happens, it will become a problem not only for the publishing industry, but for the entire Japanese content industry. First of all, we will start by investigating the situation of other stores and compiling information. We apologize for moving slowly compared to international brands, but as this is a serious issue, we will proceed carefully. There, of course, was also a few other occurrences between then and now over the last year or so regarding censorship and payment processors and Japan fighting back against them, but I'm not trying to do a full recap on stuff I've covered regarding this issue
Me neither. I hope. I hope. I might, because if I get angry, I get angry.
for the last year or so. It's just a little bit of context as we move into the current news from today from Yahoo JP. The headline reading, Visa is administratively punished for violating antitrust laws, and the Japan Fair Trade Commission applies the confirmation procedure. On the 20th
Nice. It sounds nice so far. I'm, intrigued. It sounds good.
22nd, that being today, the Fair Trade Commission applied administrative sanctions and confirmation procedures to Visa worldwide. So being hit with those sanctions.
Wow.
According to the Japan Fair Trade Commission, this is the first time that an international credit card brand has been administratively punished, including Visa, which is the largest in the industry and boasts the largest market share in Japan. They then talk about the prior situation that we briefly aforementioned, hyperlinking to an article about that and saying in 2024, the Japan Fair Trade Commission will conduct an on-site inspections of Visa. This, of course, is a little bit of an error in the auto-translate,
Nice.
as that has already happened. They then go on to recap some more stuff, but the main takeaway here is that, yeah, on today, the 22nd, it sounds like Japan's Fair Trade Commission is applying sanctions on Visa. I'm not sure if they're going after any other payment processors. This may just be the start. Back over on Twitter, we can see this being discussed in this tweet with over 3,200 likes already from also today, by Ohio My Brother, saying breaking the Japan Fair Trade Commission has applied administrative measures under the Anti-Monopoly Act, including the commitment procedure to Visa on suspicion of violating the act. And following up by saying today, for the first time in Japan, an administrative penalty was imposed on an international credit card brand. Do you understand what this means? I sincerely hope that from now on, Japan will thoroughly pursue and address all issues related to credit cards. Responses including, hopefully this will snowball and other countries will jump on this too. A first step in
The Western countries won't, because they are in the pockets of the people that own Visa and MasterCard. That's how the world works. The politicians in the Western world are massively corrupt. That's just how it is. You can see it by the decisions they make, who are never in the benefit of the people.
Fixing the issue, it affected their country first, so it'd be pretty good if they can address it. Based, which is why I like Discover, kind of that underdog that never quite got its footing down, It's time to abolish the corrupt banking system, and we need regulations against our credit card companies also, so much in the US. Oh, but it doesn't end there. Things are continuing to heat up even further as I now present to you Zenko Kurishita, Japanese politician. And just 15 hours ago, Kurishita directly acknowledged his collective shout, saying the group Collective Shout, which reportedly put pressure on Steam, is an Australia-based non-profit activist organization that campaigns against the objectification of women and the sexualization of girls. It seems they have a track record of several cancellation cases, beyond Steam. The following is from Grok, so please take it with caution. So it's interesting that Collective Shout is on the radar of politicians in Japan who are already, as mentioned, seen repercussions being...
So far, this sounds really, really good. I hope they really, rip their ass open and do unspeakable things to them.
Penalties being applied to payment processors via the Japanese Fair Trade Commission. And we might see further statements coming out from the likes of Kirishita here and Ken Akamatsu and potentially the otaku politician himself as well, that being, of course, Yamada Taro. And it seems like this attention is really the last thing that Collective Shout would want. They're probably quite afraid of this continuing to blow up and backfire even more because they seem to already be getting very nervous. Tweet reading from Pirate Nation. Looks like Collective Shout or a follower seeks to close the petition to stop payment processors and activist groups, citing defamation. And so, yeah, it seems like there is a petition going around to, well, as they say, tell MasterCard, Visa, and activist groups stop controlling what we can watch, read, or play. And yeah, it looks like the petition hosted on change.org has received a defamation claim. Someone or some people, maybe an organization, is really desperately trying to get this petition taken down. It seems like the organizer of the petition...
Who could have guessed that they don't like, the consequences of their own actions? Who could have guessed?
And got this message from change.org, presumably, and it reads, "Hi there. We're writing to let you know that we received a claim alleging that content in your petition update here is defamatory. Change.org is an open platform, and we care deeply about free speech and empowering our users to create the change they want to see. However, when you use change.org, you agree to our terms of service and community guidelines. And this includes agreeing not to defame others. This means you cannot make untrue statements about another person or organization which harm their reputation."
Well, what did they say? That would be interesting to know, What did they say that's defamatory? I think that's the word.
In order to allow us to continue hosting your petition update, please provide proof or substantiation of any allegedly defamatory statements within 3 business days of this communication. They go on to make a few disclaimers and ultimately thank the user for using change.org, saying if you have any questions, let us know. Taking a look at some of the responses to this one, we can see they should just share Collective Shout's tweets and own website as proof it's not defamatory in the slightest. They can't compete in a market for free ideas, which is why they always try to silence the opposition. They truly cannot stand any pushback whatsoever, to the point of actively silencing petitions and critical articles. Holy clown show. Visa will be a king. Complaint probably filed by Visa. And yeah, it's just some more BS by them, probably paid to do it. Well, obviously the next thing now we need to do is hop over to change.org and take a look at the petition itself. Let's see what's got Collective Shout so terrified. The issue. MasterCard and Visa are interfering with legal entertainment, often under pressure from advocacy groups like Collective Shout. We demand an end to this censorship of fiction and the right to choose the stories we enjoy without moral policing. Well, seems pretty dang reasonable so far. MasterCard and Visa have increasingly used their financial control to pressure platforms into censoring illegal fictional content. Entire genres of books, games, films, and artwork are being demonetized or deplatformed, not because they're illegal, but because they offend the personal values of executives or activist groups. Yes. Yeah, it sounds like we know
And what do they all have in common? They're communists. Now, do I say that the fascists wouldn't do the same? Well, fascism and communism are the same, but the only difference is fascism is nationalistic and communism is globalistic. That's the only difference. The only difference. Now you can go more into detail and, where you, in fascism, you don't, take the companies away from the owners and have put people into positions to lead those companies that have no clue what they are doing. That's what the communists do. And that's why communism always fails very fast, while fascism at least kind of is successful at the beginning. That's the little difference. That's all.
Few English voice actors and English localizers that would get along great with Collective Shout, but I digress. Continuing. This behavior is not just overreach, it's blatant hypocrisy. These same
Of course
payment
it is.
processors allowed platforms like OnlyFans to operate with minimal oversight, despite multiple credible reports and lawsuits alleging the presence of real SA content involving real life minors. That
Yeah.
is a criminal failure of responsibility. Yet, when it comes to entirely fictional depictions, these same companies act swiftly, shutting down creators, restricting access, and acting as global censors. The
Yeah.
pressure to do this is often fueled by advocacy groups like Collective Shout, a feminist organization that routinely campaigns against adult oriented content, even when it's fictional, legal, and clearly labeled for mature audiences. Let's be clear. Collective Shout
Well, yeah, because they want to control society. That's all it is. They want to control and destroy society. That's all that there is to it. It's not about the specific things. They are just a symptom they're going after. They literally just want to destroy society.
does not
They are the snake, you know, in Adam and Eve in paradise. They are the snake. That's what this is.
speak for everyone. Adults are capable of choosing what they want to watch, read, or play. If someone doesn't like a certain type of entertainment, the solution is simple: walk away. Nobody is forced to engage with content they find offensive, but they have no right to dictate what others are allowed to enjoy, especially when it's within the bounds of the law. Fiction is not reality. Sex sells, and consent, artistic expression, and market freedom must be respected in any healthy democratic society. We demand that MasterCard, Visa, and their pressure partners 1. Stop censoring illegal fictional content that complies with the law and platform standards. 2. Reject influence from activist groups that promote moral panic or misrepresent fiction as harm. 3. Be fully transparent about content restrictions and the rationale behind them. 4. Protect creators' rights to make legal adult content and ensure a fair appeals process for any penalized media. Let creators create. Let consumers choose. Payment processors and activist groups should not be cultural gatekeepers in a digital age. Sign this petition to defend free expression, consumer choice, and artistic integrity. Once again, the petition can be found on change.org. Tell MasterCard, Visa activist groups stop controlling what we can watch, read, or play,
Yeah.
assuming it doesn't actually get taken down.
I 100% don't agree with this. 100%. Now, this opinion could end me in jail because I live in Germany and, this might be seen as fascist. So I might end up in jail because that's how things are. But I hope not. I hope I get brownie points for, I don't know, reasons. I mean, I'm partly black, my penis is. So maybe that gives me brownie points.
Over that whole defamation nonsense. At least in my opinion, it seems to be nonsense. I don't know what they could possibly be going after here in this petition. Seems pretty accurate and reasonable, at least in my opinion. So yeah, it's not looking good for Collective Shout. This feels like a variant of the Streisand effect. Obviously, it's not like the exact same thing, but you can see kind of like the similarities, right? They're like trying to take
Yes.
things down and censor them. They brag about it, and now it's all backfiring. So I don't
Yes.
know what's the word
And I
for that?
like
Is it
it.
like instant karma or something? Let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully you found my coverage to be entertaining, amusing, and or informative, or something positive.
Yes.
And if you did enjoy my coverage, please consider liking and or subscribing. Appreciate you. I'll see you in the comments here. And
Yes, and we go to the next one. Japan is fighting back. Japan is done playing around. I hope that's not just the same stuff. I hope this is good. This, by the way, is one video. All of this is going to be one longer video. Come on. Please, I have to
Hopefully you're
cut this
familiar with
out. I hate YouTube. It's so shit. So trash.
Hopefully you're familiar with the whole Collective Shout situation, this Australia-based feminist organization that recently began a whole
Feminists are the enemy of fun and the destroyers of civilization. Here I said it. By the way, that's what the story about Adam and Eve in Paradise is about.
campaign of trying to get Steam games censored. I guess maybe they've been doing it for a while, but recently they succeeded getting Steam to take down some adult games and implement a new policy that basically says they got to listen to payment processors' demands, which was the way that Collective Shout facilitated these takedowns by complaining to payment processors who then tried to enforce this stuff on Steam, and there we are. Now, Japan itself has had an issue with payment processors trying to take down certain websites. For example, even a simple otaku dating site came under the fire of payment processors a while back. This is all stuff I've covered thoroughly in the past, and I've mentioned this before, so I don't want to be too redundant here. The point is, this stuff's been going on. But now, as we discussed the other day too, and as you can see here on screen, Japanese politician Kurishida, well, he became aware of Collective Shout, this Australia-based feminist organization. We have an update on that because he has issued a follow-up statement. It's not looking
oh please, something good. Oh God, please.
Good for Collective Shout. Although there is unfortunately also some bad news, which we'll get to in this video after the good news. So we previously read this. Let's get to the new statement. The legendary Madame Savvy had talked about, as we just talked about, how Collective Shout was called out by Japanese politician Kurishida by name. Kurishida saw Madame Savvy's tweet, responded to it saying, "Madame Savvy, thank you for sharing the information about Collective Shout. I believe that these escalating movements to restrict expression have the potential to shrink and destroy the global content industry. The reality of these movements is still largely unknown in Japan, so and show more here, let's continue. The reality of this movement is still largely unknown in Japan, so I would like to inform the Japanese public and also deliver it to the Diet. For those who don't know, that is the government of Japan. I would be extremely grateful if you could provide me with any information. I would also be grateful if you could provide any information from the content industry or from overseas people who are trying to protect freedom of expression who are reading this." She responds and says, "Thank you, sir, for your reply in time, and most importantly, your efforts. I will privately message you shortly a lengthy DM organizing all my public research so far and get you any other political ties I have privately as well. Together, I hope we can make a brighter future for creatives all over the world." Kurishida responds and says, "Thank you again. I will check the information when I receive it. Let's work together to protect freedom of expression." So yeah, you really got to hand it to Madame Savvy. I mean, this was handled very, very well, and what a dub for her. Collective Shout is not happy about this, by the way, it seems, because they've protected their account. Now, guys, there is a lot going on. I think it's a combination of things. You know, Japan looking into this further, people all over the internet criticizing Collective Shout, also criticizing them for their ties to promoting cuties and whatnot.
Of course.
These are all things that people are saying.
Of course they promote the pedo stuff. Of course they do. Because, that's what people on their side of politics do. Promote the, doing stuff with children that is bad for children. Of course that's what they do. That's what they always do. That's the end goal of them.
Online and criticism that Collective Shout is receiving. So I think it's a combination of these factors. But as mentioned, Collective Shout, they seem like they're kind of going to hiding now, which is especially comedic because these are people that were bragging the other day, and for a number of days.
Of course they are going to hide. They are spineless little retards who go off on who get off on causing other people suffering. Now, to be fair, I'm German and we invented the word Schadenfreude, and I'm a really big fan of it. But it doesn't mean I want to cause harm to people. I mean, to some people, of course. I mean, when 20 Afghans run a train on a 12-year-old, I want to hang them all. But I think that's natural.
Bragging about the censorship that they got these payment processors to enact. And now they're hiding. You can see it for yourself right here. We go over to Twitter. We go to at Collective Shout, this is their account, and what do you know? Protected mode, guys. Yeah, these posts are protected. All that brag.
Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if the guy who runs that organization is a dude. And guess what he has in his basement? A bunch of children pleading for God to kill them so they don't have to suffer anymore. That's always what this is, All these feminist organizations are either run or paid by men. You look into it. It's hilarious. And the women don't even realize that because they're dumb. They don't even realize they're just being used. It's so funny. It's so
And
funny.
now just hiding. This is something you see often online. Some of these internet activists or Twitter police or, these sort of people, they'll go after a group online. They will try to get them censored, or they'll make some sort of hit piece about them, some sort of smear campaign, X, Y, and Z. You know how it is. And I think you know where this is going to. When people criticize them for their actions, and or people start looking into these groups or those people who engage in this sort of actions against others, start seeing the skeletons they got in their closet, well, they always either play victim or go into hiding, or
But because they're bullies. They're literally just bullies. If you would give these people power, they would be serial killers. They would be mass murderers. They would torture children, literally cutting them into pieces while alive. If they could get away with it, that's what these kind of people are. They're just pure evil, and they do it as long as they can get away with it.
some combination of the above. And check this out, we're not done yet. Kurishida had a follow-up post. He says directly on his account now, I've received a lot of information from overseas, including Savvy-san at Madame Savvy. In addition to the Australian group Collective Shout, which has been pressuring Steam to regulate expression, the American group NCOSE, which has been in existence since 1962, is also calling for Steam to strengthen its regulations. This is no longer speculation. They themselves are promoting these as their track record on HP and X. Further analysis is needed to determine, quote, why global platforms and credit card brand related companies accept the appeal of these groups, unquote.
Most likely because the owners of the credit card companies give money to these organizations, so they complain to the credit card companies for them then censor the media. It does that sound plausible? I mean, you know, to me it does. I know it's conspiracy theory, but the thing is, if you're a billionaire and you want to change society, how do you do it? Not directly, you do it indirectly by giving money to organizations to change things. That's what NGOs are for. They are just a tool for those rich people to change society in a way that it benefits them and their worldviews. That's what's going on here.
But since these are the source of expression regulation, the side that protects them will need to cooperate with overseas forces. We will continue to move forward. But I did mention that there was also bad news. Before we get to that, though, let's start with a meme, shall we? So, Running with Scissors. These are the guys who made a Postal, right? Hopefully I'm not wrong about that. I'm 99.9% sure. This is like the Postal meme. What was the original context of this? In game, they were demanding violent games get censored. I think that's the context, right? And so they've revived the meme and changed it to be Collective Shout instead of whatever the in universe.
Yeah, what do they even mean with violent games? What do they even mean? I mean, do we have to censor oh god. How is it called? I forgot. I'm stupid. Minecraft? Because that's a violent game. I mean, it is. Fundamentally, it is. Do we have to censor that? What about TV shows? What about books? I mean, there are books that have really bad stuff in it. Do we have to censor that? Yes or no? Because you know, these people are disgusting. As simple as that. They are disgusting. Even more than I am. And I'm overweight middle-aged man. Guess how disgusting I am. Just ask your mother. Because she sucks the dick.
Group was. So that's pretty funny. Gosh, I played that back in post production. I explained that so poorly. In universe, in game, this was like a group of like activists who were demanding violent games get censored. If you don't know, Postal, it's a very violent game, so that's the joke. They're like showing people against those games in their own game. Now they changed it for Collective Shout. Probably most people watching this already understood that, but for anyone who's not familiar with this stuff, there you go. It's a better explanation. Moving on to the bad news. We hop over to the Twitter account of the one and only person who has monopolized ban milk. Of course, I'm talking about Permaband, who says Collective Shout also went after itch.io, and itch.io bent.
De-indexed. Oh my god, what a word.
Posting a screenshot of this official update from itch.io, where they say update on NSFW content. We have de-indexed, quote unquote, all adult NSFW content from our browse and search pages. We understand this action is sudden and disruptive. We are truly sorry for the frustration and confusion caused by this change. And look at this, second paragraph. Recently, we came under scrutiny from our payment processors regarding the nature of some content hosted on itch.io.
And here we go.
Due to a game titled No Mercy, which was temporarily available on itch.io before being banned back in April. Permaband also pointing out how back on January 3rd, 2022, itch.io did make a tweet that reads, "Warning, itch.io is not for prudes. If you click our link, please be careful about what you might see." It gets cut off there.
Yeah. I mean, this is so stupid. I hate as a German, as a German, all my grandfathers fought in World War II. My grandfathers fought in World War II, and some maybe even in World War One. Other members of my family fought in World War One and World War Two. I've On my father's side of the family, my family fled from East Germany, communist East Germany, when they built the wall. Like my family literally fled East Germany when they built the wall. They fled from East Berlin to West. Like literally while the communist government was building the wall. I am against censorship. I am against socialism. Why? Because it's evil. The only thing it's good for is to control the people and enslave them. That's all it is about. There's nothing else behind it. It's just pure evil. It's just like literally the fundamentals of socialism. What is socialism fundamentally? Slavery run by the government. Because the government, the people on top, they have all the wealth, all the luxury, they have all of it. And the people, the normal people, they are just the slaves who work for the things that the people on top have. That's just slavery. And it's even worse than slavery in ancient times. Like in Rome, the richest person in history of Rome was born as a slave. He was born as a slave, and back in the day, slaves got paid by their owners. They got paid. No, they got paid way, 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 way less than a free person, of course, because they are slaves. But they got paid, and they could sell buy their own freedom. That's what he did. And then he rose to become the richest person in Roman history. if you today are born in Germany into a poor family, you have no chances to become the richest person in Germany. No chances. Because the government uh, puts everything into place to not make that a thing. That they don't want you to not be poor. I mean, why would they want you to be not poor? That doesn't benefit them. You only benefit them if you are poor, because then you vote for them. So you to give you the money of the rich people, aka everyone that's not poor, aka you know um, people that just work. If you own a house and have your family, and there's you are seen as rich people. You aren't rich. You're middle class. That was the word I forgot. That, but yeah. The middle class is seen as being rich, and that's at least by the laws and by the people that go for the rich people, because the rich people, they aren't bothered by anything. They don't pay taxes. The middle class pays all the taxes. The middle class pays all the taxes. The middle class is, and the middle class is about to be completely destroyed. And that's wanted by the government, because the government wants everyone to be poor and reliant on the government so they can control all the people. That's socialism. Everyone is poor except for the people in the government. Why? Why? Because socialism at the core is just state-run slavery. That's all this is. And that's why you can't have socialism. Now, socialism can work on a level of family and village. That's the levels where it can work. It might also fail, but it has the highest chance of it working. Why? Accountability. In a village that's run kind of socialist, everyone looks out for everyone. And if the one farmer has a bad year, everyone else jumps in and keeps him up, so he doesn't collapses and dies and stuff like that. And next year he's doing well again and everything is fine. On that level it works. Now if you have a country like Germany, it doesn't. It completely doesn't, because there's no accountability between the people and one side of the country and the people 1,000 kilometers or miles on the other side of the country. There is no accountability, and that's why it's not working, and that's why it turns into a dictatorship. And stage one is nothing more than stage one slavery in the core. Back to the video.
But we can see the full screenshot does say, before being banned back in April, the organization called Collective Shout launched a campaign against Steam and itch.io, directing concerns to our payment processors about the nature of certain content found on both platforms. Yep. And like we said before, these people will simultaneously go after video games online and turn around and defend freaking cuties on Netflix.
Yes.
The main account for their organization had like...
And that's also the same people that defend, bringing your kids to the Christopher Street race, where they see literally adult people's asses and, genitals and dog play and pet play, slave play, all loose things. That's the same kind of people. Because they are complete degenerates. Complete degenerates. They are just disgusting people. That's fundamentally it. And they try to hide it by saying, oh, look at these people. They're just projecting and trying to be safe, not to be seen, while doing all those vile things themselves. They are basically accusing other people of what they are doing. So people don't look at what they are doing themselves.
I think around 10 tweets that I saw promoting and or defending cuties, and multiple of their members were doing the same thing on their own accounts too. So we're probably talking about well over a dozen, maybe dozens of tweets that these people all made on their various accounts promoting and defending cuties. Some of them would even try to save face a little bit, saying things like, while we don't fully agree with everything in cuties, we overall do think it's a positive thing and people should watch it. And it's like, bro, there's nothing positive about it. There's no defending that. These people are sick.
The thing with cuties is it's the same. Back in the day, I've made that might still go on. There were sites on the internet that had underage girls and swimsuits and underwear, but they weren't selling the swimsuits and underwear, and that's cutie. Fundamentally, that's just cutie. It's just for the pedos to look at it. The more you know.
Here's one last thing I want to show you in this video to end on a very much hilarious and positive note. Over on our games, they would talk about this itch.io update that we just went over. But take a look at this top response. If reports are to be believed and Collective Shout have around 1,000 people phoning up Visa/MasterCard, I think it's time to do the same and start clogging up their phone lines and email inboxes. Annoy them until they feel forced to reverse the decision. They show them MasterCard and Visa phone numbers and link to the emails.
By the way, I don't know the timeline here, but people did that. And I already have a video on it, and it's hilarious. Actually, some people got the people at the call centers angry at them for complaining and saying what's going on, and at least Visa is being overwhelmed by the response at the complaints. It's turning out big, and I love it. Gamers fighting back. I think that's the name of the video I made, and it's awesome. Thank you, gamers, fellow gamers, that still have the passion to do something. Old me, I'm like, oh god. Thank you, gamers. You're awesome. I love you. Continue.
Saying regardless of how you may feel about the content, NSFW or otherwise, payment processors should not have the power to tell people what they will and won't process. So you might have right now like thousands of people calling these companies, these massive corporations, like emailing them, like spamming them. Hey, Collective Shout. Hey, it's called Fighting Fire with Fire. What's good? Let's see what these payment processors think about this. And like I said before, I think there are definitely some higher ups, in my opinion.
Could you do that? I mean, could you complain about Collective Shout? Like if you get 10,000 emails and calls about Collective Shout being, problematic, would the payment processors, drop them? Imagine that. Oh, that would be so funny. I would love that.
These payment processors that completely support these actions and are like testing to see how much they can get away with, how much power they have, and they're playing a long game. They want to have as much power and control over people and organizations, companies as they possibly can. And of course, this sort of thing would certainly entice politicians as well. So there probably is some sort of crossover here between certain politicians and these payment processors and abusing power, et cetera, et cetera. My point is, while I do think this can all be larger than Collective Shout, I still find it hilarious that people are using the tactics of Collective Shout against these payment processors. It's hilarious imagining how annoyed these corpos might be getting now. But I'll leave it there. It's really all there is to say about this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed the coverage. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. Have
everything he says. And there was another one. Where is it? Japan is keeping up the pressure. Sounds good.
Welcome back,
it?
guys. If you saw my first video today, you may Remember that at the end of that video, I mentioned I'm going to try to get one more video done today, but I'm extremely short on time, so apologies in advance if I'm speaking a bit quickly and or if this video is a bit rushed. I really, to be honest, I don't have the time to do this video, but I really want to, so I'm going to be late to what I need to get to and make this instead. But here we go. So, Collective Shout, Australian feminist organization that was going after payment processors to get them to censor websites like Steam, and then we saw stuff on itch.io as well, etc., etc. You may recall that in Japan, politician Kurishida has been very aware of the situation and has been routinely criticizing Collective Shout and talking about all this.
Good.
And now here he is again, just flat out saying Collective Shout's activities and practices should be investigated worldwide as they post.
Yes, go for it. Go for it. There's a reason why I love Japan and the Japanese so much. I don't agree with everything they do, and but I love the Japanese. I don't know why. I don't know why. Might be because I watched so many Godzilla movies when I was a kid. Might be just that. I literally watched a lot of Asian movies in general when I was a kid. A lot of my favorite movies as a kid were just Asian movies. It's insane.
Such a threat. Responding to an account that says Collective Shout needs to be audited, I'm willing to bet money that they are being financed by a tech company in charge of age gating. The co-founder is on Australia's board, And amidst all of this, Collective Shout has also gone into hiding even more, which is just the peak of comedy. Because they were bragging about it. Like we said the other day, these people were bragging about their, as they call them, victories.
Of course.
On their Twitter accounts and on their social media accounts. They were bragging about this stuff. And as soon as people start becoming aware of what's going on and looking into these people and criticizing them, they just all play victim. They all lock down their accounts. And here we are. For example, Collective Shout's Twitter account is still in protected mode, as they have been for a number of days now. This is not new. There's not much to see here. But over on their LinkedIn, I guess they do have some things to say. And Pirate Nation says that they're claiming on their LinkedIn account that Elon Musk has put them at greater risk.
Of course, that's what they say. Of course. Always the victim.
Where have we heard that before? I feel like I've heard that same line before from like other people online or like other organizations online specifically. But yeah, here's the statement. Elon Musk's actions have put us at greater risk. Movement Director MTR in the Australian. Collective Shout's founder Melinda Tankard-Reist said her group will not be silenced by gamers' threats and abuse. Gamers are...
Of course. The abusers calling others abusers. Of course.
Just so powerful, guys. We've got these organizations and these corpos terrified. Even Ubisoft the other day was like saying that gamers are abusing them and hurting their reputation. And so continuing, she says, Melinda Tankard-Reist, predictably misogynistic gamers have come out in full force in defense of their access to these problematic games. They have unleashed a torrent of abuse and threats of violence against the women on our team. Across multiple online platforms and via email to individual staff members, these men have threatened to do terrible things to all of us and said terrible things about all of us. It goes on and on. Ms. Tankard-Reist said Mr. Musk was amplifying the worldwide online abuse by reposting the Change.org petition against us. Oh my gosh, dude. Simply reposting the petition is abuse?
Yeah, these people are just evil. That's the exact same stuff that abusers do to their victims. It's the exact same stuff. You know? It's hilarious how the abusers make themselves seem to be the victims. It's always the same. Always.
That's why no one takes this stuff seriously. I mean, come on. How could you be compelled to say that? And how could you even think that's a good idea? Mr. Musk, he made the abuse even worse by reposting this Change.org petition against us. Musk's actions have fueled threats of violence, harassment, and digital abuse of our all-female team across all our platforms and forced us to...
An all-female team, so I guess they are all into grape play. because that's literally what women are most attracted to. Always remember, the most anti-woman thing on corn sites, it's mostly watched by women. The most disgusting, most hateful towards women things is mostly watched by women. And by most of them, I mean over 50%. It's it's hilarious. How women say that, oh my god, that's so bad. And then they watch it and get horny from it. That's just how women are. Something is really wrong with them. That something is because is having a vagina.
Take extra measures for our personal safety, she said. I also love how, as Madam Savvy pointed out the other day, Collective Shout seems to try to pretend like there's no women calling them out when many of the people criticizing them are in fact actually women, but of course that's bad for their narrative.
Of course. That's always the case. Those creatures always say, oh my god, the men are attacking us. And then there are a bunch of women that call them out too. You also have never to forget that, when they're calling out abuse against women online, half of that shit is coming from other women. But men are the problem. Never trust what a woman says unless you can verify it from, actual data.
So they try and ignore that, and they never mention it. Oh, it's a bunch of misogynistic male gamers who are doing this. That's all. This is also occurring over in Japan, with a Japanese free speech organization putting out an official statement regarding the issues of censorship and distribution, suspension on game distribution platforms such as Steam and itch.io, as they say. Further adding, we support and wholeheartedly endorse as a consumer organization the efforts and initiatives of platforms that protect the free creation of creators and the free choice of users. This statement would get reposted by this account, Ramblings Nerd, with an English translation. Although when I click this, I think the translation is ran through a what's it called, like a image translation. You upload the image and it translates it, which means this might be.
That's bad. I mean, it's okay, but I should have someone looked over it. Which you can have it translated by a machine learning AI, whatever, and then have someone look over it and fix stuff that doesn't make sense or is just wrong. Then it works fine. Yeah, you can do that.
A little bit scuffed, and I'm assuming that given how there's like different random bolts here and there, it looks like one of those image translation things. But hey, maybe it worked out pretty well. I'm just warning you now that maybe this is going to be a little bit scuffed on top of my rushed coverage too, so we'll see. Hopefully this is not a mess. But the statement reads, censorship and distribution suspension issues on game distribution platforms. AFEE is an organization that has been active since 2013 with the aim of respecting diverse expressions in entertainment and protecting the interests of consumers. We hold street demonstrations by nonpartisan politicians to coincide with Comment Market, as well as publishing a magazine and holding study sessions on freedom of expression. Recently, there have been a number of reported cases where game distribution platforms such as Steam and itch.io have been forced to suspend or remove content, including adult games, due to pressure from human rights groups and payment service providers. The background and issues are explained below. We take the following position in order to protect creators' freedom of creation and users' freedom of choice. Skipping down to this section, amid growing moral pressure from human rights groups and payment service providers without legal basis, it is extremely important for cultural diversity that Steam and itch.io continue to make efforts to protect content. Removing or hiding content that does not violate the law is nothing but arbitrary censorship. Yes. We strongly encourage each platform to continue to exercise careful judgment when suspending content that is not illegal. 3. Request to avoid suspension of legal content. Suspending the distribution of even non-illegal content is detrimental to both creators and users. Creators not only lose revenue opportunities, but also risk being labeled as inappropriate content producers, and users are deprived of the opportunity to freely access a wide variety of content. We strongly urge platform operators to continue dialogue with users and maintain policies that protect content and avoid excessive deletions. Then skipping to this section where they directly call out Collective Shout here, saying, In July 2025, Steam and itch.io suddenly removed a large amount of adult NSFW content and some adult games from their search results. This was reportedly the result of pressure from the Australian anti-adult content group Collective Shout, which was working to pressure payment providers such as Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal. On itch.io, all tagged NSFW content was removed from search results and browse lists, effectively rendering over 20,000 items invisible. This was done without prior
20,000. That's a lot. Like a lot. Like, if each game costs $10, that's 200k. 200k if each game costs $10. If you know, value each game at $10. Some are more, some are less, but just go with $10. It's 200k. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And of course, more than, 10 people would buy these games. So it's more. So I would guess these 20,000 items would roughly be $5 to $10 million. I think that's realistic, which is a lot of money.
notice and in a confusing manner. Steam revised its Steamworks guidelines to prohibit adult content that is deemed to not meet the payment processor standards and immediately removed a large amount of content in question. As a result, there are reports that legitimate and highly acclaimed LGBTQ related content, as well as content on mental health and domestic.
That's funny. That's actually funny. They're hurting their own people. Well, the feminist organization, hurting their own people. Of course they do that. Because they're stupid.
Violence have been affected, posing a threat to freedom of expression. They close with this statement saying gamers and creator communities have organized protests on Reddit, Blue Sky, Change.org, and other platforms, and have delivered a petition with over 170,000 registered members to Visa and MasterCard, as well as sending numerous phone calls and emails in protest, which, as we discussed the other day, does seem to be working. The disruption of these companies does seem to be impeding their business and costing them money. And really quick, I want to give a shout out to this user, Sekwar, who left a very interesting comment, informative stuff here on my video from the other day, similarly talking about this and saying, I work at a credit card company, not MasterCard nor Visa, so I can give you a suggestion. Don't bother sending emails. Those will go straight to the trash. Do call their call center. They are not allowed to ignore calls, and they have to pay the call center operator companies. Yes, they're all third party per call taken. Lowering the amount of calls received on call centers is 80% of all the projects that I work on. Anything that increases the amount of daily calls is a nightmare for them. Keep calling, and they will.
Oh, this is good. This is good. Call them. Annihilate them. Cost them money. Money walks. And money talks. If you hit them where it hurts, with just the money, they will listen.
Alrighty, guys, I'm going to leave it there for today. Again, apologies for the rushed video, and thank you for understanding, though. Appreciate you. Let me know what you think about this stuff in the comments. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Same. I completely agree. This is awesome. Gamers are fighting back. Even the Japanese government is fighting back. This is perfect. Thank you, Japan. This is amazing. I'm finally some positive stuff in the world. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you for not having me being depressed all day. This is wonderful. Yeah, if you like this video, give it a like. If you have something to say, comment. And if you want to see more, subscribe. See you in the next one.